What stops you from creating the change that you want? Stay tuned. Hey, this is Damon Cart from NLP Gym, bringing you cutting-edge neuro-linguistic programming tools and techniques to help you create the life that you desire. So if that sounds good, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. This is actually a video series. This is the first part of a three-part video series, and at the end of the three-part video series, which will be released this Saturday, I will be making a big announcement. Stay tuned for that. Change is hard, right? And lasting change is even harder, right? I don't really think so. I used to think that way, and what I'm going to offer you now I think is a much better way to think about change and even lasting change. Change itself is not really that hard. It's the resistance to change that is difficult and that makes us struggle and get frustrated. If you think about it, when you were a kid, you adapted to change pretty easily. This is why, kids learn quickly, they adapt to change very quickly. The reason is they have not many expectations because they're lacking in life experience. The more life experience we have, the more we use things like expectation to give us some sense of security. So first off, think about change as not the thing that's difficult, it's just your resistance to it. So if you can lower your resistance to change, it's not hard and it will last. The only thing that stops change from lasting is if you have inner resistance that you haven't dealt with. We call this ecology in NLP. So what's the best way to create lasting change and to stop resisting change? Where do you start? Try starting with stop making any excuses. You may call them valid reasons, but they're excuses, and we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it, you're guilty of it, everybody's guilty of it. That's the first thing we do when we want to distract ourselves from something we want or we think we should want, and we don't have it or we're not doing anything about it. We make an excuse. The two biggest excuses that most of us make is I don't have the money and I don't have the time. When I used to sell insurance, that was the two biggest hurdles I had to overcome when making any sales to clients. First of all, I had to explain to them why it was worth their time. I had to really demonstrate this. I shouldn't say explain. I had to demonstrate why it was important for them to take the time to come to the office and meet with me. And then I had to demonstrate how it was worth their money to buy a policy which actually protected their money. So these were, when it comes to sales, this is what you're normally going to encounter as the two biggest excuses. Nobody ever has the time and nobody ever has the money. And when it comes to everything else you want in your life, that's usually the reason that you use one of those two or both as to why you don't have it. Why haven't you lost the weight or started that exercise program or started making more money, or why haven't you gone back to school, started that novel, spend more time with family? Whatever it is, it's usually, the excuse usually is, I don't have the time and I don't have the money. What if though, imagine this, just imagine for a moment, you no longer made excuses for anything. You couldn't make excuses. Every time you went to make an excuse, something interrupted that process of making an excuse and you suddenly stopped and didn't make the excuse. So for some of you, excuses are the reason your life is exactly in the same place as it was 1 year ago. And for others, for the rest of you, the reason why you haven't progressed as quickly and advanced into the life that you want to create for yourself is normally excuses. Now, as a coach, I usually coach people with this. I usually get very clear with them about what it is they want. And oftentimes, this could be another reason why you're making excuses. It's not really what you want, it's what you think you want. For example, I've met couples who make excuses about why they're not having kids. When what really comes down to is they don't really want kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want kids, that's okay. But they were experiencing a lot of pressure from both sets of parents wanting them to have kids. So the only thing they could do, and they felt like they should have kids, The only thing they could do was make excuses. But the truth was they just really didn't want to have kids. This is an important thing to know. So if you're making excuses because it's not something you really want, this is so important to know that, because you can unburden yourself with that. You might realize upon stopping making the excuse and really getting clear about what you want, that you only wanted whatever that was because of outside pressure. It really wasn't something you wanted. And why is that so great to know? Because now you can finally unburden yourself from experiencing that pressure and making those excuses, which is just a distraction and a waste of time and effort. So let all that go. For everything else, the things that you know that you want, the things that you actually want, not because of outside pressure, but because you really want them, but you keep making excuses as to why you don't have it or why you shouldn't start working on it. What would it be like to just stop? Just stop making excuses. I mean, I know this sounds very simple, but when you interrupt that pattern, when you stop distracting yourself from what it is you want, and you really own it, you own that desire, you own what it is that you want without the other noise, notice what happens. Give that a try. Start becoming very well aware of your common excuses. Like I said, for most people, it's time and money. So you know that up front. But each one of us has our own favorite excuses we like to use, our individualized excuses that we like to use. Get clear on what those are so that you can watch out for them. And as you go throughout your day and you think about doing something, or you think about wanting something, or someone asks you about something that you said that you wanted, if you start to notice you're about to make an excuse, stop yourself. Don't try to replace it with anything else. Just stop yourself. Interrupt that process of excuse making. Interrupt that distraction. And just sit with that. And notice what comes up for you. To be continued. Check out my website, nlp-gym.com. There you will find some free NLP training as well as some free hypnotic inductions that you can download directly to your phone, your laptop, your tablet, or your desktop computer and get immediate access. Also, check out NLP Gym on Facebook. I also have a free NLP Gym private Facebook group. Check that out as well. And if you like this video, please click like right down here. Also, if you haven't already, please click subscribe by clicking the subscribe button right down here so you can get these videos on a regular basis. Take care.